Contact right there, just turns his car sideways down the front straightaway. Just, wow, right, really close there. For Mills in the 5, very lucky to miss.
We talk a lot. Look at the rear tires off the ground. Well, I was going to say, we talk a lot about the racetrack and keep it up and how great it looks. Remember, 10 years since.
Good morning, good evening, good night. I'm not sure why I started with this video to begin Layer 1 Live today. Just felt good. It's a tough market out there. BTC's sitting around 32,000 as we speak. We're definitely in a little bit of a funk here in the crypto markets. There's a lot to be had, a lot of talk to be talked about on this episode here today. Really excited to kind of get your guys' opinion as well on where you think we are, man. I mean, couldn't have been a better time. Doge is specifically dumping as well, in direct reaction to this video, of course. ETH BTC is at a good level. And when I say good, I mean to maybe start accumulating again. We continue to see that downtrend there. Got a lot of lads in the house. We've got breaking news, quick hits, NFTs, and DeFi today. That's basically what we do every Monday. I'm coming to you a little bit early on today's episode. It's because I want to get in and out, man. I don't want to talk about the bear market that much. This is what we got here today, boys. Welcome in to Layer 1 Live, to LADZ City, to the LADZ City network. This is what is going on. Look at T-Fuel there, man. Look at T-Fuel just getting after it over there. 0.09% up on the day. Do me a favor, guys. Get this episode shared out. I'm starting to share it out here. Again, in my socials. Just giving everybody the reminder that we are live right now. Covering the markets here today. Tough one right now. I'm going to take you through Glassnode's analysis. Everyone's pretty much talking about the China ban. That's... If you look back quarter two of 2021, and what brought us down, it's got to be Elon, it's got to be China. That's what's happening right now. Two big pieces of news there. And reasons why fundamentally we might be retracing. I hate to say it. I've hated to say that since the beginning with Elon. But he really kind of threw a little wrench into what was happening. We were frothy anyways. It was going to happen at some point. Don't get me wrong. We're not going up forever, but it is what it is. So welcome into this episode. We are going to cover a lot of that China ban, kind of dig into what the on-chain analysis is saying. I love what Glassnode is doing. The NFT market is still doing well. And by well, I mean really well. If we go to CryptoSlam here, let me see if I can't pull up CryptoSlam. Doing a phenomenal job. Really led by Bored Ape Yacht Club. So if we go into CryptoSlam really quick, I mean, there's a lot of green on this chart. A lot of green on this chart. We go back to 7 days. Bored Ape Yacht Club there taking the top spot today over Axie Infinity. And what could only be described as one of the biggest turnarounds of all time, with Mark Cuban becoming an insta-chad, just an absolute DeFi degen within the course of 2 or 3 weeks, and then just flipping the script and saying, hey, we need to bring regulation into here after he got rugged by Iron. So Llama's got a good piece of information for everybody there. The bear market's here. Put on, well, he didn't say that, but he says put on the big boy pants and hold on tight. Really, that's what you want to be doing. If you think it's going to go a little bit deeper, it probably is here. Not investment advice, it probably will. But put on your big boy pants and see what we got going on. Bitcoin believers in the house, he's saying the bear market is here. A break of 30K and stops are going to trigger fast, which means 20K will most definitely come on a wick. Death, taxes, and people putting in that leverage. All right, this is what we're doing this week on the network. So LADZ Network, we are an entire network worth of shows, an entire network worth of creators. I can't wait to highlight our creators more, man. We've got a ton of awesome content creators in the house. We got Fun Uncle that we just added this past 2 weeks. We've got Kagiyan, a rising star in the NFT gaming sector. We've got Easy in Crypto. We've got Ronan the Collector. We've got Crypto Buffalo. We've got myself. I think I'm missing somebody there, but I always do. So this is what we've got going on. Fun Uncle, Fun Uncle was yesterday. He did that recording. Hopefully he survived his wedding. We got Layer 1 live right now. NFT live tomorrow. Layer 1 podcast with Avagachi. Been trying to get those guys on the channel for a minute. Trying to really hook that up. So we got Avagachi on the Layer 1 podcast. That is a video and audio. So if you check wherever you listen to, let me do that spiel really quick. Wherever you find or consume your audio content. So Spotify, Apple Podcast, that is there. We had Maddie from DCL Blogger last week, so that was awesome. Easy Street's going to be Thursdays. He's been killing that. And then we have Lads Day on Fridays. Only getting bigger, only getting better. And we are continuously trying to add creators. So if you know any creators or you're a creator yourself, you want to create content on the channel, enjoying what we've got going on here, feel free to reach out. And then, of course, Lad Series of Poker on Saturday. So that is what we've got for the week. Again, starting it off hot with Layer 1 Live here, basically just covering the markets. So we'll jump right into it. All-time high is going to be 116. I'm thinking about resetting that, man. I want to hit new all-time highs each week. Let's see what the all-time high was from last week. We'll go with that, and we'll just continue getting after it. So I'm going to touch on that. We're going to see if we can hit that bad boy today. Good to see everybody in the house. I saw China Easy and Crypto is not in the house, but Llama is. Saw that. Usually Easy gets here halfway through the episode. All right, so all-time high here while we were live. Let me see if I can't get this, guys. Come on now. Don't do it to me. 48. There we go. All-time high is going to be 48. That is going to be the new all-time high for Layer 1 Live. I'm just going to go with it. Starting from last week, starting from the bear market, that's what we're doing. So all-time high is going to be 48. Please leave a like. If it's your first time here, please leave a subscribe if you like the content. We've got all types of different creators and content on the channel, so definitely leave a subscribe if it's your first time here. Leave a like. It helps the channel out a bunch, and we will get into the episode. And I showed this to start. A little bit of Dogecoin crash as we see here. This is a good representation of the market here as we see Doge kind of flying by. Much wow. Much NASCAR there. That's where we're at. We've got a little bit of price action as you see. Most altcoins down. BTC's down. Let's check out BTC here real quick. Yeah, so zooming out here. Got an hour chart. We wicked up to 41. I can't even keep track of the days anymore. That was like 4 or 5 days ago. And we've since been on a rapid decline, and most of it has to do with China. Most of it has to do with their heavy-handed approach, which comes about every year, every 2 years, every cycle, definitely. They're coming out with some good stuff. So going to start with CryptoPotato here. They do an amazing job covering the markets. Here's the story here. Ethereum dropped below below 2K for the first time in a month as BTC slipped to 32. All right, altcoins in the red here. Second largest digital asset lost several $100s in a day. Talking about Ethereum there. The past 24 hours only worsened its performance. Ethereum dumped by more than 300 in a relatively short time period. Intraday low to 1980 on Bitstamp. They throw out a couple other altcoins here. Binance down 4.5. Cardano down 4.5. Doge is getting hit pretty hard in this market. A lot of weak hands in the Doge compartment, which makes sense. I mean, you had a lot of paper hand retail traders there in Doge. So not surprising. Doge is one of the biggest losers in this kind of drawdown. Polkadot's down 10%. Uni's down 8.5%. So blue chips holding up a little, like long-term blue chips holding up a little bit more than those short-term plays. Solana, Uniswap, Polkadot. Take a look one more time here. 24 hours. See our biggest loser. Pirate Chain. Getting after it. Doge going to be the biggest loser. Kusama. A lot of DeFi getting hit here, guys. So back to this article really quick. The farther you go down when you're in a cycle like this, of this part of the cycle, the farther you go down into CoinMarketCap, the harder hit you're going to be. I'm going to get into my DeFi Polygon adventure that has since taken a turn for the worst. Gonna hit Glassnode, which I really want to do, but the last thing we'll touch on from this article here, Bitcoin sees a 2-week low. Situation with primary cryptocurrencies is not that different. Consequently, BTC fell by more than 2,000 in a few hours and 4,000 in a 24-hour scale. The asset dropped to over 32, which became its lowest, which is, again, where we're headed right now. ETH BTC I'm going to show really quick. So, again, ETH BTC is definitely an indicator of alt season in and of itself a little bit. So if I zoom out here, do a one-day chart, obviously ETH BTC doing really well. That's alt season. And then we see a little bit of a capitulation here. This topped out in like middle of May. So it's rough out here, man. We'll be watching this. You see a little bit of a support level here, man. Yeah, this doesn't look good on the ETH-BTC chart either. So I'm going to hop into Glassnode and we're going to kind of look at why this would be the case, or what on-chain is showing. I love the background here. It's winter already. A lot of what we just saw from CryptoPotato, right? They're giving us the ranges, 41,000 down to about 33. And the summary from this article here is on-chain activity and then the difference between the long-term holders, short-term holders, and really the long-term holders, what they're doing. Because that's really going to be the saving grace if we want to continue maybe just, getting over with this downtrend and kind of making our way back amidst a lot of good macro stuff that's happening. I mean, El Salvador doing what they did, legalizing Bitcoin. I mean, there's so many macro reasons why Bitcoin should be okay long term, or at least in maybe even the short term time frame. But a lot of this short term FUD is happening, and a lot of this news from China is making us go downwards. So here, I'm just going to read directly from this article, right? On-chain activity across the board is remarkably low across Bitcoin and ETH, with demand for block space falling to levels last seen in 2020. However, low demand for transaction is generally a bearish insight. It also reflects an unwillingness of strong hands at these prices. So everyone's kind of, trying to figure it out. And China mining is brought up in the article as well. That's going to be a constant thing throughout pretty much the whole week, or at least the start of it. There's the overall, topped out at 65K. And then we have a really cool graphic here, really cool couple of graphics that I'll show you guys in the on-chain activity. So over the past, week, 2 weeks, maybe a month, Bitcoin active addresses have fallen by 24% from a general sustained peak of 1.116 mil. So 1 point something mil from March to early May. For Ethereum, it's dropping even more, 30% from a brief peak of 676,000 addresses. So we see early 2021 there. We see those levels that it's reaching again there with Ethereum, and then BTC as well, reaching that low for active addresses. So basically people are kind of sitting back, not doing anything. A lot of these new addresses that were getting active, wanting to get rich quick, coming back down. USD settled on chain. Here's another one. When it comes to USD value settled on the network, the decline in activity is even more dramatic. Bitcoin and Ethereum are settling minus 63%, minus 68% less USD compared to that recent high in May. So those in and of itself, super bearish, right? You want to see activity on ETH. You want to see activity on Bitcoin. Obviously, fees go along with that. So here's a look at the fees on Ethereum and Bitcoin. So Bitcoin here, daily fees down almost to October 2019, April 20th ranges. Ethereum, the same thing. So less transactions, less fees, makes sense. But here's the real kicker and why we might be okay. Again, not investment advice, do your own research. You hate to see this sign here. From a macro perspective, there are remarkable similarities to the 2017 macro peak in regards to the balance of supply held by long and short-term holders. That's what we're watching. And that's why the difference might be the amount of holders that we've added might make this time different than last. That's basically what you're looking at. If you're bullish, that's what you're looking at. I still have people asking me how did it get in. We've added more holders. That's really the difference. So one thing they talked about last time, and I'm learning a ton from Glassnode over the past month, but in times of the price really, really pumping, you actually have a lot of accumulation by long-term holders. So accumulation here as the price is going up, and then what you see is distribution as the price is going down. Actually, the opposite. I'm sorry. Apologies on that one. So I'm looking at this chart here. Bitcoin long and short-term holders. What you see here is really as the price is going up, long-term holders are distributing to short-term holders. That's basically what this is showing. And then as the price goes down, what you see is long-term holders get into accumulation mode. I know that sounds pretty standard, but the way that they have this kind of written out and drawn out is perfect. So I'll read from this piece of the paragraph really quick. After reaching peak hodl, so maximum long-term holder supplies, both cycles demonstrate a macro distribution event as BTC wealth is transferred from long to short-term holders after the top. So after everyone is done selling their bags long-term wise, we have started to see the opposite effect where long-term holders stop spending and begin reaccumulating despite their coins often falling into unrealized losses. So, guys, leave the comments here. We're going through a little bit of, I would say, like a deeper dive. Glassnode definitely drops a deeper dive. So sometimes coming back in, you're like, okay, where do I need to be? But Easy's in the house. Buffalo saying Q called it. Welcome, Easy. Easy's always working, man. Was on a supercharged Cypher dev call launching July 1st. Nice, my brother. Choina says, hey, Easy. Llama saying ETH is hardest hit with Crypto Stamina saying we may have to wait for EIP 1559. Yeah, the updated dates for EIP 59 I would love to see. But because ETH 2.0, I'm still banking on layer 2s at this point. So a little bit more from Glassnode here. If we investigate spending behaviors over the last year, we see that a proportion of young coins on the move has continued to increase as the proportion of transaction flow. So what does that mean? People are buying young coins during bull markets, right? Get rich quick, all that stuff. And that percentage goes down, and really it's catching the downtrend. In the last few months, we see younger coins accounting for over 45% of the total transaction count, result of newer market entrants. There you go. So it's really just fleshing through some of this. But really what this is showing again is the inflection point between people starting to accumulate during bear markets. And are they starting to accumulate? If they're starting to accumulate, maybe that's the start of a bear market. They're stopping their selling to these short-term holders. So you see a May 21st here. We see that same accumulation trend with a subsequent, and then you see the last accumulation trend here. That led to a decrease in price as we see the price of BTC here over the long term. So here's the kind of the conclusion, although I don't believe they had a conclusion, which I was interested about. Older coins have reduced their spending with a notable decline after the May sell-off. This demonstrates the two-sided reality of demand for on-chain settlement is extremely low. This also indicates that long-term investors are not bailing out at these prices, and that is the key. That is the key. Have we added enough long-term holders, especially in a Bitcoin stack? You basically have a firm supply there that's not going to increase via inflation. If you add long-term holders, does that change? The spent output age bands are a particular. Don't pay attention too much with the naming of these bands unless you're super interested. Just kind of how they break this down. The spent output age bands are a particularly useful tool to have on hand should the market experience a strong rally or further capitulation. A primary behavior to watch out for is in an event where these older coins come roaring back to life, such as on a relief rally. So I mentioned this last week on Layer 1 Live. We didn't see a lot of these altcoins pop off until about 4 or 5 months after that Bitcoin at 20K peak in 2017. So if we see a relief rally and we see that, old hands are moving, that means that there's long-term bearish sentiment. Okay, so if we see that relief rally and then you see long-term people start to capitulate or sell, that means long-term they're like, thank God for this relief rally. I'm selling now, and we'll move on into the winter. If not, and their coins stay dormant during volatility, it would be a strong indication that convictions to hold remain in play, meaning we may, reverse and continue upwards. But nobody knows. And that's really the point of the article that I wanted to get to. Really good stuff from Glassnode. If we see a relief rally, which we might have seen, tough to hold, tough to see, but we saw, Polygon went up to 270 at one point. And then it came crashing down back up to about 220. So let's see if we can't pull up BTC again. Did we already see that relief rally? I'm not sure in BTC. Some altcoins definitely crashed. It was like a very brief crash. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was a very brief, like 60% down, and then really shot back up. Did we already see that? So BTC USD daily chart here. Let's go to like April. So here was that crash in April. Saw that brief come back up. Yeah, I don't know. So it crashed down to about 48 and then popped back up to 60. That's the biggest thing, man. And I'll pop out of this Glassnode stuff, but this is really what you want to take away from it. If we see a relief rally and long-term holders are selling, that means long-term bearish. If we see a relief rally and it continues upwards and nobody's really kind of getting rid of their tokens, then we might be, good long-term. Not investment advice. Come on now. All right, we will hop into the remainder of the episode here. Most of it's going to center around China's FUD, right? We get this every cycle. Chona was just mentioning in the chat. It gets easier to deal with the market cycles the longer you're in. 100% true. We've got the battle scars to prove it. All right, so typically an indicator, obviously, of the amount of hash rate that's going on in China. You want to see that hash rate be distributed globally, but you really don't want to see it be through a heavy-handed crackdown that you're seeing here. Bitcoin hash rate falls 17% overnight after China mining crackdown. I believe this is in the Sichuan province. Yeah, so about 16.94%. Pulled the plug on 26 mining farms. And this is basically amongst 4, 5, 6, 7 different stories about how China's coming out. So really a coordinated media attack, or the media is responding to the coordinated attack, whichever one. You never really know. CryptoPotato did a great job of taking us through some of the highlights here. It's really all Choina's fault. Yes, Choina. What's up? What's up with your crackdown in the mining rates over here, man? Let the mining farms do what they may. Okay, so other stories to go along with this. According to a report on June 21st, Agricultural Bank, which I'm not familiar with, but seems to be one of the biggest banks as I read Chinese here. Thanks. Published a statement outlining a ban that will prohibit its customers from doing any business with cryptocurrencies. So that's large. This is the better tweet that you want to kind of bring up here, Q. So it's not saying, hey, this, maybe the mining firm shouldn't do it. Maybe it's a general kind of blanket ban. It's saying, no, we have one of the larger banks in China coming out and saying, we are not going to deal, with your account if it has anything to do with cryptocurrency. We're going to shut down your account. So again, quick explainer for those confused about Agricultural Bank. The Agricultural Bank of China released an announcement saying a customer dealing with crypto will have accounts closed. Interestingly enough, 15 minutes later, it appears they deleted that notice. 2021 getting rugged by the third largest bank in the world. Reuters came out with a follow-up. Let's see what we can get from this. So AG Bank, the country's third largest lender by assets, said on Monday that it is following guidance from the central bank to clamp down on cryptocurrency trading and mining activity. So you really have a dual approach here. They're going to the mining firms, mining companies, and saying, shut your shit down. And they're going to the banks and saying, you need to be a little bit more heavy-handed. Here's what you need to do. And some of the banks are following in step. And this particularly is tough because really China's thrown out like really general, broad-based bans. And to see the actual banks themselves saying, no, your specific account, if it has to do with Bitcoin trading activities. So here it is. If a client is found to be involved in crypto trading, its account would be immediately shut, relationship cut. So that, if you want one specific thing on why we're headed downwards, that's it. Couple more we got from Decrypt here. Sichuan shutdown order cripples Chinese Bitcoin mining pools. Comes at the same time that 3,000 Beijing ATMs facilitate the state's own digital yuan. So here's a conversation to be had about this situation. So China's coming out saying no crypto. And here's my question. Why? You had a lot of Bitcoin hash rate happening in China. I don't know the exact numbers. It was a strong amount. At one point early 2016, it had to be more than 50%. And you have China coming out now. Now, it's been many a years that hash rate has fallen. You see hash rate starting to pick up in definitely the US. Why come out and cripple the strength of your, countrymen and in, relation your country in producing Bitcoin? And, the argument then comes out. Hispanic has some good comments here. Bitcoin will kill every other currency. That's why. Yeah, the difference is if you control those people that own that Bitcoin, which China definitely does. We don't live in a society right now where you can completely and easily subvert the government where you live. They would be in that mode towards Bitcoin actually taking over the world. In that mode, they would be in a position of strength. Now all you're going to see is those Bitcoin miners move overseas, the Bitcoin hash rate continue to get stronger in other places where China could have used this as a way to tax, as a way to, gain more capital, gain more GDP. They're basically kind of cutting it off at its knees and saying, hey, we're going to stop this, even though eventually it's unstoppable anyways. Carrot is saying, I have often wondered what would happen if all countries took this approach. That's what you don't want to see. That's what you don't want to see. One of the conversations happening on Twitter right now is the El Salvador news, where they came out and made it legal tender, the exact opposite of this China ban. You want to see a little bit more of that. You want to see, a mid-sized level GDP country, if they were to do it, would be awesome. And you see a little bit more of that. You don't want to see a situation where none of the countries have done it yet, no mid-level have done it yet, and then they come out and do what Karras just talked about. I have often wondered what would happen if all countries took this approach. So, it's a cool conversation to be had, but if you can kind of Trojan horse your way into the global economy, which Bitcoin has definitely done, then it's over. You're already there. So, again, my side of the argument here, and a couple that I see on Twitter, are if Bitcoin is going to be the strongest global reserve currency, or it's just going to be one of the strongest assets, don't you want to be able to have that asset in your country and be able to tax that asset, have your countrymen be able to, profit off this and add to your GDP? Instead, you're going to have all these people flood away from the US or from China. And that's just going to, think about if you had an awesome oil mine and you had the ability to move, or that somehow you had the ability to move, or those people had the ability to move that oil mine somewhere else. So you have this awesome oil field. You can tax the people. The GDP in that area is going to, continuously increase. And then you say, no, can't do it. Move that oil field to the US. And there's it's kind of a wrap a bow on the point. Llama says, good luck being an isolated digital economy. And the craziest thing about this entire discussion is that it was the U.S. for so long that was being seen as being left behind. You had the hash rate primarily in China. Oh, China's taking that and running with it. They're going to be able to utilize all the Bitcoin that's happening, or all the Bitcoin businesses. I know they weren't big on blockchain side of being. You still had the FUD, basically, of China not wanting to kind of openly say, hey, we accept Bitcoin, we'll do all these things. But at least they weren't coming out and doing this. And the CBDC, for those of you who are in the audience that aren't familiar with it, just they want to digitize their currency. They want to have a native cryptocurrency to China. But again, good luck. Like, you had the lead. You really had the lead in moving towards an economy for the 21st century. But now they're just going to have it move somewhere else. So we'll see. And for those of you that weren't around last time in 2017, 2018, this is normal. I don't know if the severity is that normal. I don't remember specific banks coming out and saying, hey, we're going to cancel your account here if you don't comply with what we want. So great discussion there, I think, on China in general. We'll continue to follow, what their response is and where does the hash rate go. There's a couple stories in Decrypt talking about bringing on more, hash rate and mining firms trying to kind of lure these Chinese miners over to Miami. Seems kind of a ridiculous story, but hey, we'll go with it. Great thoughts coming through, man. So Choin is asking, is Bitcoin a threat to the digital yuan becoming the world reserve currency? Absolutely. Absolutely. 100% threat to USD as well. But the real question is, do you want to see the future and see that if you can't kill it, it's almost like if you take this shot, you better kill it. Which most of us here don't believe that that's possible. But that's what they're doing. They're saying, okay, the only way to stop this is to be this heavy-handed. But the problem is it's not going to stop, and then you put yourself on the other side of the fence. Good luck. But it absolutely is trending in that way. Carrots is saying, yeah, this is like the 10th China bans Bitcoin, but this feels a little more real, 100%. Spanik is saying, should be up sooner than later, though, right? This is just a hiccup, 2 to 3 months, not that bad. It depends on how real this is. China represents a strong amount of retail investing in crypto in general. If they really shut out their citizens from investing in crypto, that's crazy. But I lean more bullish usually. That's just me in general. I think there's a lot of big macro things that are happening in crypto. A lot more products. I mean, we dipped in 2017, and what was there? There wasn't all of the macro stuff that you're seeing. There was still a China ban, by the way. There wasn't this macro movement where you have El Salvador doing legal tender with BTC. You had not as many long-term holders as I've shown with Glassnode. I got the Yang gang in the house. Crypto Stamina saying, if Yang wins New York mayor, Miami and NYC will be leading the way, and the U.S. will benefit for sure. Decades of USD reserve dominance isn't easy to beat. Yeah, it's not going to be easy to unseat. Nor do I don't even know if we want to see that happen so quickly. A lot of people are going to be left out in the cold. Reminds me of that scene in The Big Short where they shorted the housing market, and Brad Pitt goes, "Do you realize what you just did? If you guys are right, people are going to lose their homes." Hopefully it doesn't happen that quickly, because there will be multiple problems. Mylene is coming out. Tell me how to say that, by the way. Mylene. I closed my laptop in 2018, came back 3 years later to see it 15x. Zoom out. Zoom out. That's all you got to do. I'm having a lot of people contact me and asking me what's going on. Say, dude, just keep buying. Just keep buying. Be grateful that, you know, you're not in crypto. You have USD. You're getting lower prices. You're getting more opportunities. Spanix asking me to go through the charts. Which specific charts? I am not a squiggly line drawer. I will say that. I can find a support line. We do have Fun Uncle that does charts. We're looking to bring on TA analysis onto the network. I would love to have multiple TA guys on the channel. Just bringing you TA. Would love it. And just to kind of go through Spanix comment again, should be up sooner rather than later. This is just a hiccup, 2 to 3 months. I don't think anybody knows. You know, a lot of what Glassnode was getting at was people are just waiting this out, trying to figure out what the heck's going on. ETH BTC obviously is one to keep an eye on. Sheesh. Kagi does the best TA. Mylany, okay, got it. Llama saying farm somewhere and get some money to reinvest. Yeah, the problem is make sure you're in a good farm. I'm still on my Polygon adventure, guys, by the way. I decided to thread out my Polygon DeFi farming. We'll get to that. Okay, some bullish news. So from this to this, we do have some bullish news. So this was June 18th, 10 years ago. Grayscale looks to add Solana, Polygon, ICP, and 10 more. This was one of the biggest bullish narratives for ETH, was that people were going, you know, Pomp was always saying people are going to dip their toes in BTC and then go a little bit farther into BTC. I don't know if he ever mentioned ETH, but you could follow that narrative. It's let's get involved in Ethereum's or the Bitcoin's the Bitcoin Trust on Grayscale, and then they get involved in Ethereum Trust, and then guess where they go? The next market cap up. So these are some big announcements here. Grayscale Investments is exploring 13 investment products: Solana, Polygon, ICP. Interestingly enough, these are all the ones that dumped the hardest. Kava, 0x, Kyber. So a lot of good ones in there. I always wonder what the logic is, unless they already filled their bags. Why put that out there? The 13 new assets under consideration are in addition to the 18 the company is still exploring, meaning that Grayscale is considering a total of 31 investment products. So, good news, hard to come by here. And it will be something to keep an eye on, how much of an appetite they have for these products from an institutional side. So Crypto Buffalo is saying, has anyone else been getting a cultish feeling from the Axie community lately? Axie community has been a cult from the start in a good way. I mean, that's the reason they're so successful, is that community is a cult. So, but when I say cult, I mean that in the nicest way possible. So, all right, we will move into NFTs here. I feel like I didn't hit enough quick news, but we'll get after it. Oof. Couple hacks. Dogecoin obviously down a bunch. There's a lot more quick news, but it obviously centers mostly around this price dip and China having an effect there. Good news, everyone. I love some Futurama, man. Okay. Everything in crypto is a cult. Got him. Okay. All right, so here's another thing. If you really are looking to put your money somewhere, not investment advice, do your own research. Here I'm showing it again. The NFT market is doing well. And this has been happening for about the last month. Bored Ape Yacht Club really was the inflection point for this generative art stuff. I think you had Meebits, you had CryptoPunks, everybody knew. But once you democratize that, because who was buying a CryptoPunk for 30 ETH? So Bored Ape really just put the market on its back from a generative art standpoint, and we have been running ever since. So in the past 24 hours, VFern's up really big. Pickle's up big. We covered that. If you didn't check out the last NFT live, you have to. Do yourself a favor. 7 days, Bored Ape Yacht Club up 185%. The floor here... The floor here is absolutely crazy. I believe a floor for a Bored Ape right now is 5 ETH, somewhere in that vicinity. And one of the biggest factors of why you saw that floor rise was the Bored Ape Kennel Club. So basically what you have here is an airdrop of an asset that is yet to be revealed. You know, Ronan brought this up the other day, that he didn't essentially like this kind of distribution method where you don't know right away. I think he also mentioned that that was more towards smaller projects. He didn't know if they were going to rug or not. But this is driving extreme demand. So essentially, if you owned a Bored Ape, you got to participate in this Kennel Club drop. 1 for 1. So 1 ape to 1 drop. You came on. You can see what they will look like. So up until June 25th, don't quote me on that, you will be able to claim these Bored Ape. Oh, the gold. And here it is right here. This golden dog is really the reason that you see a lot of the secondary markets start to fly up, and why it's probably the model that most people will go with is the golden dog, is the rarity. You go from saying, okay, I just own a regular ape, to I now own a mystery dog, and that's why you see on OpenSea now the price being about 1.2. You see some offers at 1.17. So you own 20 apes. Love seeing the floor price rise. By the way, you're getting 20 ETH worth of dogs. So again, this price is being pushed up because they haven't been revealed yet, and you have the ability to get a golden dog. And this is really kind of taken the past week and just, I mean, we are on an astronomical pace right now with the amount of projects being launched and selling out. I mean, you could probably find on my thread alone 8 different projects that have launched in the last week. So Pickle was another big one. I don't know if they link out to websites here, but these were extremely, it looks like there's a floor here for Pickles, about 0.18. I think they were like $10. $10-20. There's a cool discussion to be had here on how these are kind of self-fulfilling prophecies. Once you have a situation where a Bored Ape sells for a certain amount, that Bored Ape, maybe the capital used in that, or that gotten in that sale, goes into another NFT, and then maybe you profit there, and it's it feeds back into itself. That cycle only ending when you start to get, you layer shit on top of shit. So you buy into a project and it does super, poorly, and then another project does super poorly, then you run out of capital. All right, so Crypto Stamina saying, I sold a dog, I bought Cranium, sold Pickle, bought Slumdoge, Resistance is futile, Avatar's taking over. There's the model that I just talked about. Exactly. He sold his dog and put some risk in on Cranium, sold a Pickle, bought a Slumdoge. I'm going to show you some others. This popped up overnight. I'm a sucker for Doges. Big sucker for Doges. So 10,000 of these. Typical. Right now, what you're seeing, most are being sold out. They've got some initial roadmap plans here. Gallery, garage. I mean, this is what we're getting right now. So, want to throw it your guys' way. I love the interactiveness of these episodes. Where are we? How long can this kind of go on? I mean, what you have here, even if I go across my timeline, there's got to be some other projects here. I mean, there you go. Easy's loving the pandas. Panda Golf Squad is out. Here we go. Easy's just all over it today. Avastar is one of the OGs. Just a lot of FUD on my timeline there. Wicked Craniums. So essentially an avatar takeover here. Wicked Craniums I can pull up as well. So looks like Reckless minted 10,762 Craniums. I didn't catch Wicked Craniums, by the way. Sold out in 45 minutes. That's really good. Members only projects. I like that. So here's the deal. The secondary market is going to be fueled by the randomness of these drops. The drops are democratized. Love those two features. The problem is it's almost too easy to recreate. So it reminds me, I mean, for those of us that were there, it is the ICO market. It was the DeFi market. It's too easy of a replication to those two cycles, ICOs and DeFi. And people give ICOs a little bit of crap and DeFi as well from the community aspect. So that might be the opposite side of the discussion. I'm kind of thinking this out loud with you guys. But there's probably more community-minded people in NFTs than there are in DeFi specifically. That's definitely fueled by capital. They're running to get that yield and then hop into the next one. I think you'll still see the same thing play out. I really do. We just had a $78,000 sale on a Bored Ape 12 hours ago. Craziness. All right, I'm going to touch on a little bit more of the generative kind of craze right now, but that I kind of broke it down for you guys there. The Kennel Club drop really fueled an increase in the floor of Bored Apes. It also kind of makes people understand the power of owning one of the apes. So it's just kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy there. You see that the 24-hour change in volume. 191%. So a lot of these generative pieces are cheap. They launch them in $10,000 amount or 10,000 supply amounts, and people just take a flyer. This is cool. Speaking of Axie, NFT Yield Farming Guild raises $4 million. Yield Guild Games, which is definitely built out of that Axie community, raised $4 million in a Series A. The guild has already invested in assets for Axie Infinity, the Sandbox, F1 Delta, Alluvium, and League of Kingdoms. Bitcraft Ventures took lead here. Let me see if I can't find any. Parify. And it looks like Sky Mavis took a part in this as well. So congratulations to Yield Guild Games. It's building out that's what you're seeing right now in NFTs. A lot of money flowing in. That money's going to go to projects, and it's awesome. It'll go under the radar a lot of times, but these little pieces are fueling projects to build. So really love that. Catching up on 2x speed. Next time I'm going to use gas fees as a top marker. Yep. Transaction fees, definitely. It's tough to hop out of the generative art piece and what it's doing to NFTs right now, but it's essentially making NFTs immune to this market movement right now. Your NFTs are going like this while the crypto market's going like this. And it's tough to have the conversation with yourself as a Bored Ape on both sides. If you're not a Bored Ape holder, it definitely is, you can make the decision that it's a little bit toppish, and I wouldn't disagree with you. But what happens when they do another drop for almost the same amount that the ape is worth? One thing is probably safe. If you get an okay project, not an absolute piece of garbage, and you flip that before the reveal, you're probably going to do well. Because there's a lot of FOMO in I could own the gold piece. I could own the 20 ETH dog. But that can also lead you to holding the bags. Easy saying I'm rubbing it in. I didn't mean to, man. I did not mean to. So, all right, good to see you guys in the house. I'm in NFTs right now. We are quickly moving to DeFi. We had a really cool DeFi segment last Layer 1 Live, last Monday, where I kind of took you guys through a little bit with what's going on here in DeFi. Specifically Matic. So that segment led me to starting my own thread here. So TLDR, this was started last week, June 15th. What is that? Last week, Tuesday, I started this thread. Said, hey, I'm going to turn 10,000 Matic into hopefully not 100 Matic. And I went into it. I kind of took people through, hey, this is what you need to do. I aggregated some information here. Went through some of the products, which I can do right now. And, I kind of went through the process of what you need to be doing from a staker's perspective as well. So step by step, trading what, putting it where, and doing and what have you. So talking about existential fears when being in a degen farm, the protocol gets rugged or exploited. your holdings go to zero, the token gets rugged. And some of this happens at the same time. And your holdings go to zero. So Titan, and I want to make sure I get this correct for you guys. The actual name of, or what Titan essentially was. It was a degen farm, 100%, but they had an algorithmic stablecoin play. And there's a specific word that I want to use. The Bloomberg article is not going to let me get to it. But here's what you had. You had Titan lose its peg, which it's algorithmically based, right? Like when you have a Tether piece, it's backed by USD. You are taking the word, or often they have to comply with regulations. It has to be backed by dollars. With an algorithmic stablecoin, you're using math to keep that peg. And oftentimes, in order to drive people's interest into an algorithmic stablecoin, they jack up the yield. So they're using all these like game theory and math equations to, one, keep the price of the peg stable, but also drive interest into people coming in. And what you had with Titan, and this was the specific product, Iron Finance, and we went into it last Layer 1 Live. Okay, a multi-chain partial collateralized stablecoin. So food salad there for those of you out there, but meaning they're on Binance Smart Chain and Polygon. Partial collateralized, meaning they're using game theory to keep the peg, and it's a stablecoin, meaning it's $1, or trying to keep up with, the price of the dollar. Not exploited in the way that you would think. It was exploited via the game theory. So TLDR, Mark Cuban was the biggest Chad in crypto. He was like our Elon Musk, but the great guy. He was on a DeFi summit talking about Polygon. I mean, the guy was just freaking deep into crypto. And then you had this. Mark Cuban calls for more stablecoin regulation after trading DeFi token crashes to zero. And yes, it did crash to zero. There was a Iron Finance post-mortem posted a week after. I was in this pool. I was there with Cuban on the battlefield. Cubes lost about 6 million in this. So I'm not going to try to get in the weeds here. I really don't want to confuse people, but just for the sake of this story, we're going to read this paragraph. 10 a.m. UTC on June 16th. Dude, I swear I got out an hour before this. We noticed some whales began to remove liquidity from Iron USDC, then sold Titan to Iron, and then already I feel like we're... Anyways, Iron to USDC directly to liquidity pools instead of redeeming Iron. Which caused the Iron price off the peg. The way that the game theory works, you want to find that peg. You want to incentivize people to then get that peg back to $1. Titan dropped from $65 to $30 in 2 hours, which later recovered in an hour to $52. That is where I got out. It dipped to 30, fell back, and I got out at like 43. And then Iron fully recovered its peg. Everything's fine. It worked as is. Things not only seemed battle-tested, they were. Users claimed calm and trusted in the code, and so did we. So here it is. Later at 3 p.m. UTC, a few big holders started selling again. This time after they started, a lot of users panicked and started to redeem Iron to sell their Titan. because of how the 10 minutes swap oracle works, Titan spot price drops even further. So you're getting the feel that there is a negative spiral effect with this game theory. This caused a negative feedback loop as more Titan was created as a result of iron redemptions, and the price kept going down. So Black Swan event, also known as a bank run, at the time of writing, the Titan supply is 27 billion. At some points, the price of Titan became so low, close to zero, actually, which caused a redeem contract to revert the redeem transactions. So what we just experienced is the worst thing that could happen to a protocol, a historical bank run in the modern high-tech crypto space. All right, so there was a redemption period. Some people were able to get a portion of what they were able to get back out. And that was that. When we had Cuban come out, he obviously got wrecked. He was in the Discords. It was crazy. He was really in it with us, it really seemed like. And then he came out and was talking about, regulation. And here's the direct comment from Cuban. I read about it, decided to try it, got out, then got back in when the total value lock started to rise back up. As a percentage of my crypto portfolio, it was small, but it was enough that I wasn't happy about it. The thing about DeFi plays like this is that it's all about revenue and math, and I was too lazy to do the math to determine what the key metrics were. I took a flyer and lost. There should be regulation to define what a stablecoin is and what collateralization is acceptable. So, kind of sucked. I mean, you don't want that amount of negative press right off the bat of us trying to get into, farming. DeFi summer was a thing. Layer 2s are ready to roll. Yeah. And at the end of the day, agreed. Llama was warning me about Titan. I don't know if it's one of the reasons I got in or got out at that price, but definitely fortunate there. So, a couple comments I had on the 10K of Matic that I can go about here. So, in my journeys, I was able to find a product called Beefy Finance. Beefy Finance is really cool. I'm also in the Aave dashboard, although Aave rewards were turned off, so I was only getting like 2 to 3%, where I was before getting about 8, and at the start of those Aave rewards was getting like 20. So this is the state of my rewards. Now it's not good. I don't know where this exactly gets me from a Matic perspective. But basically, at the end of the day, Beefy is the one that is taking my rewards and auto-compounding them. And you're looking to hopefully sell those rewards over a certain period of time. So, and you're hoping the rewards eventually get you, one in the black, out of the red, if it does get something like this. So, I'm in Walt Finance, just a regular farm. I'm using Beefy. And then I'm taking the USD that I'm getting and moving that I'm moving half of the Wex Poly into USD and then filling up this LP now. So that's where I'm at right now. A lot of this this dollar price also has to do with the Matic price dropping. So again, my goal is to accumulate Matic. It's not really to kind of look at the dollar price, because I'm a big Matic bull, but that's where I'm at. The Wex Poly Walt Finance, it has a strong percentage here, so I'm still there. But there's definitely a chance here that I get wrecked over a certain amount of time. So in that Titan pool, I was up 4 or 5K, now down 4 or 5K. So that's where you're at. So for those of you wondering, and again, Beefy Finance, really cool. There's a couple other tools that I can take you through. The yield tracker is pretty nice. So here you go. You got yield track. But really, I'm using them to see the overall look here. So you find a lot of this information in Discord as well. So if you're looking to kind of get involved in some of this DeFi stuff, you have top losers, top gainers. It allows you to track your yield. Gives you DEX volume. Beefy Finance is Binance Smart Chain as well. Yeah, and a lot of what I'm basing my investment on right now is the quality of maybe the communities. And I know that's a very non-DeFi way to go about it, but Beefy seems like they've got a great team behind them. Seems like there's like intelligent conversations happening in those chats, and I like the product. So that's why I was big in Beefy. At one point, their Beefy pools were really strong, and they have this buyback revenue stream model that was really strong. Those yields have since kind of come down. So I'll hop back one more time into Beefy. So I'm gonna sort by APY here. It looks like they just added a YELD SLP. They literally just added this, by the way. This wasn't even here 2 seconds ago. YELD Finance, Polygon token. Down 31% here. So these are kind of the games you're playing here, right? In DeFi farms, you have a 1 trillion percentage APY. And Beefy is, again, Binance Smart Chain and Polygon. But this kind of just launched here. So what you're looking at is Polyyield token. Haven't gone to Polyyield like at all. So do your own research, not investment advice. I'm kind of looking at this in real time with you guys. But basically, the reason TLDR why Beefy Finance is good is because it takes your token or your LP tokens, your liquidity provider tokens, auto compounds them and then they vary, but for some every 10 seconds. So instead of getting this is where you get these really, so you saw it move there for a second, where you get these really strong APYs because they take your money every 10 seconds, it compounds, and then it adds to your percentage. So 42.15 trillion. I don't know how that works out to 7.61% per day. But of course it does, but it's 42.17. Yeah, it's obviously not going to last long. This plummets. This plummets as the day goes on. So that's been my experience up to this point. I believe I was up about 1 or 2 grand on Titan. Could have gone to 0. Could have had 5. So this is DeFi. You know, if I got out when Titan was $62, would have been up pretty nice. But then you try another. Asmodai was commenting earlier. I've been taking the minefield approach to DeFi with small amounts all over the field. That's a fair. I'm sure that's a fair way to go about it as well. So currently in Wex Poly, taking the rewards there, half into USDC, and then plugging them in to this APY as well. So that's been the journey, man. I mean, the Cuban saga happened on Wednesday, and it feels like a month ago. But that's where we're at. I mean, DeFi summer obviously going to not be as much of a thing if the overall market's going to absolutely collapse. But if we range, that's where you want to see the activity with DeFi summer. And the last thing I will say is that the Glassnode analysis on ETH on-chain activity has to be affected by Polygon. I mean, Polygon is siphoning money siphoning activity, siphoning users. So when you look at something like ETH and you say, oh, 30% less transactions, 30% less users, unlike 2017 or anything like that, some of that's just moving. So I'm a big believer in Matic. Do your own research, not investment advice, but I think they're doing a good job of capturing activity, users, volume, all that stuff. All right, I will take any questions. I'll take any comments. You guys have been awesome all chat long. We can look back into BTC here as we pop up out of here. Looks like it bounced from 32.2. We're now at 32.6. At the end of the day, everyone is waiting. There's not a clear indicator either way, although definitely some people would lean more bearish. I think even the bears, you could get caught. You could definitely get caught here. So there's a lot of chop in the market. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening. So yeah, looking forward to more wax action as well. All right, last comments coming through, and then I will get up out of here. Layer 1 Live, we're covering the entire crypto market. Today it was all about China FUD. ETH is at a huge discount. I would agree with that. See if I can't get back into Ethereum here. If I had to TLDR it, I'm pretty bullish on the differences between 2017 and now. I think there's a lot of macro factors that are out there. I think we've added a lot of long-term holders. The projects that are actually revenue generating. There's a lot of different things that are happening that would take us out different from last time. It's just, where do we go? As ETH ETH's taking a dip. Dip in the water. Damn, ETH was at $2,600 on the 15th. That is a absolute stunner. All right, guys. Taking the last comments. If you want me to touch on a product or a project or anything, a picture of a meme, let me know. I'm getting up out of here in like the next 5 minutes. So hit me up. Let me know what you want to talk about, and I will be there. Seeing a lot of OVOTs coming through. Shout out to the lads in the house. Our Vibe, our tribe, left house. Well, the one thing I'm watching as well, how long does the generative art piece cycle continue? Yeah, it looks like there is that dip. All right, guys, I am getting up out of here. We have NFT Live tomorrow. We are adding content creators. We will get to that announcement relatively quickly. But if you want to help grow the network, please reach out. We have a lot of people doing their thing within LADZ City, and we appreciate it very much. And we will continue to put out content this week. Some good announcements coming out. People are building different projects. Troy is saying, I'll keep the Gotchi lads updated about the Avagachi and Layer 1 Live podcast. Yeah, the Layer 1 podcast here on Wednesday is going to be epic. That is with Avagachi. Xbox coming through with some alpha. So Bulls on the Block, I believe, is the product. He said this weekend. Bulls is going to be... That one seems heavily anticipated. Will sell out relatively quickly. All right, guys. Our Vibe, our tribe, thank you so much for stopping by today. The tunes, if you could hear them, of course, provided by the Bored Ape Yacht Club today. And we will get up out of here. I'll see you guys in the city. Our Vibe, our tribe. Until next time, happy trading.